All right, folks, welcome. You know me. I'm so glad that you all are here. Thank you for coming. Um, Tonight, I'm going to talk about a new topic that is state of the art in artificial intelligence, and it really has to do with the roadmap of workforce replacement. This is, you know, uncomfortable. I know it's going to be uncomfortable for most people to talk about, but I just want to show you where we are on this in this universe right now. Talk about some of the tools that are out there. And if there's time, I actually have some my web browser with a bunch of updates on the different AI content platforms. But this is really focused on what is agentic AI. I've got some stuff to really talk about what it is and the mindset behind it. A lot of this right now is in the hands of coders and software developers and people using Python. So it might be outside of the reach of most of us. That's okay. But it's the purpose of this is to talk about this is real. This is the world we live in, and so that you guys can start to understand what's about to happen. So again, like the idea is like, what if you could be the world's greatest, a researcher and developer and designer. You don't have to really do much other than start to play with these tools and these technologies. So anyway, we'll talk about strategy as well. In case you haven't seen it, there's this new tool called Deep Research, or Deep Search. So OpenAI has one, Perplexity has one, Google has one. This is oh, let me share my audio. Bear with me. Share audio. Just play this quick video, this quick clip.
I got access to deep research, and what I liked about it is that it really is trying to understand what the requester needs, even down to like, what geographies are you looking at? What industries are you looking at? All these tools can help enhance that. This week, I've been working on the semiconductor chip shortage. I want to understand the underlying reasons and which industries were affected the most and what the outlook will be for the next few years. So I put in a prompt. I asked it to look at industry publications, consulting briefs, publicly available data, as well as data from semiconductor associations. It summed up rather quickly what the underlying causes were and provided some context. And if you hover over the source, you can see that it leads you to a website. It will give me a very holistic view. And I'm excited because I can do it much faster now.
So have you have access to ChatGPT Plus or Pro? No, I don't pay for Pro. It's ridiculous, $200 a month. That uh, uh, that's where Deep Research is. You can play with it. I think you can get it access to it for free. I haven't really double checked. Perplexity has one. Grok has one. So if you have a Twitter account, you can just use this stuff. They're fascinating. They are not perfect. So again, we have to be the human in the loop. HITL is absolutely critical. So don't rely on those things blindly. This is ridiculous. Here's a post from that someone did. This gentleman, Lamar Shoemaker. What you're looking at is a screen recording. I don't think it's real time, but it might be real time of um, OpenAI's operator using Replit agent. If you don't know what OpenAI's operator is, it's a proof of concept that they released, which is basically a web browser in their cloud, running in their cloud, and their AI is controlling the web browser, all of it. So tell it to do this, and it'll go do what it'll open up its own web browser, and it's going to function automatically for you. So what this person did was told OpenAI's operator to go to replit.com. And if you don't know what Replit is, this is an AI app building tool. Hey, AI, build me an app that does this. And it goes ahead and does it. That's what you're seeing here. Human need not apply. So in this window is the Replit app, building all the code, building all the functionality, building the web page, building the interface. And this is the controller controlling this. Fascinating stuff. So this is like it's getting crazy out there. Oh look, it's me. And again, like you've heard me say this a million times, this is the most exciting time in human history, and you know this. I'm highly biased. I've got strong but weakly held beliefs, and I follow the evidence, the data, and I question everything. So I ask all of you to do the same. And I'm going to talk about some of the quiet stuff out loud. And the goal for this is to get everyone to start to think about how this stuff is going to replace the cognitive processes and tasks and jobs that we currently do. Um, and it's okay to disagree with me. I'm here for you when you need. So this is going to happen. Um, so we are in a little context here. I think we're in the age of AI. You've heard this over and over and over again from me. The marginal cost of cognition and creativity is dropping to zero, and we are we're this is where we are right now. This is happening. I'm writing this book called AI Effects, and all of these are the different chapters. And I guess one of the key is to focus on Wayne Gretzky, skate to where the puck is going, not to where it's been. We really need to just keep that transformation effects, forward thinking cap, on ready to go at a moment's notice because we need to see where we're going. Okay, now here's what you need to know. I'm going to get straight to the point. Too late. AGI is here. The bottleneck for adoption and absorption and dissemination. It's that's the bottleneck. That's what we're up against. It's all fuzzy. It's good at some things and not at others. That jagged frontier, which I think I still have a slide in this, but it's basically here for the most part. Arguably, I don't know. I give up. Like that. That's it. We have to understand that we're on that cusp. So defining what is AGI is becoming a bigger argument. Like, oh, does it really do this better than me? Yeah, well, it does it a lot better than most of us. Um, and this is the Jagged Frontier paper from Fabrizio Dell'Acqua and Karim Lakhani and Ethan Mollick. This is understanding this task inside the frontier, tasks outside the frontier. But the key with all of this is that the frontier is moving out exponentially in this direction. It's getting better and better and better. It's like this bomb has already exploded, and we're just now starting to feel that blast wave. So let me go back a slide. But again, keep this in mind. It's good at some things and it's bad at others. So that is absolutely an opportunity. But I don't know about you. I don't want a job where I'm looking through to find the mistakes that the AI does. I mean, if you're an editor of a paper, of an article or of whatever, yeah, that an editor has to read every word of an article in a newspaper. So yeah, I get it. There's a job there. It's just it can get really complicated if we are somewhere inside of this jagged frontier where AI is really good. So yeah, we're starting to feel that blast wave. Um, Augmentation effects and replacement effects. And if you think or create for a living, then your current job is going to eventually be replaced by a human with AI. So we need to figure out how to be those people with AI. This is just we got to get the creatives of the world past this. They've stolen our art. All the copyright problems and like they stole our ideas, they stole our works, they stole it to train their models. Yes, that is arguably something that has happened, but we can't be behind this. We have to get out in front of it. And it's getting fast. It's happening exponentially faster. So, and here's a big bottleneck. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe it. It's not true. So they want to see proof. Okay, here's some proof. This is AI scores on humanity's last exam. This is a metric. This is a test. And OpenAI's deep research is testing at above 30 25% on this humanity's last exam. But I got to point out that this is an exponential. Sorry, this is a hyperbolic, right? This is a hyperbolic change. So where do you think we are? Well, I mean, actually, we kind of need to see where we are with the latest updates with Grok 3 and these other tools that have been released. In case you haven't seen this, I'm actually going to put this into the Zoom chat so everyone has this. This is an article, a blog post by Leopold Aschenbrenner, used to work at OpenAI. This is a must read. This intelligence explosion. And this automated AI research, the super intelligence in this, again, there's a confidence interval here over time. Uh, but this again is this exponential change, this exponential explosion. And you're looking at this effective compute. So he's taking into consideration this logarithmic scale of compute and where we are right now. And I actually kind of think that this might be shifting left unexpectedly, or expectedly, depending on how where you want to be. Here's another graph from his blog post, and he's talking about this super intelligence, this automated AI researcher, and over time. So this was today. I feel like we might be hitting this automated AI researcher that opened these new deep research tools that are again part of a um, consumer interface. So Grok 3, OpenAI have these deep research tools, like that you can just ask it, write me up, do research on this topic, and it'll go do it. The question is, how easy is that topic for it to do, and how complicated is your prompt? So there's some artwork that is involved. You have to understand what these tools do and how they work internally. But this cognitive labor, the science and technology, robots, military edge, and GDP, all of these curves are part of this super intelligence. So that cognitive labor is something that we're just, yeah, okay. Like I could spend days and days and days researching sources for a paper for some work, and these tools will automatically just go out and do it. Are we at the PhD level? Not in the commercial tools, but I think in some of the open source code bases that are out there, they might be. So the GPT researcher, the Sakana AI, when those tools, when those code bases are incorporated into an agentic pipeline where I can iterate over them over and over and over again, or say, I want you to do a deep research on one part and then do another deep research on another part, another phase of a methodology, for example, all of a sudden, then I'm replacing the actual PhD student. So I've given this talk to some academic researchers, and they get really uncomfortable when I show them this stuff. So we're getting to this fuzzy area of, oh shit, and oh wow, how cool is this? So it's both. It's scary and exciting. This was from February 2nd of this year. Sam Altman, congrats to the team for building. This is when they released Deep Research. My very approximate vibe, we're going to see a lot of words. Vibe is used a lot lately, is that it can do a single-digit percentage of all economically valuable tasks in the world, which is a wild milestone. So if you're looking at economically viable tasks, how much of the work that we do has some research component to it? Hey, we need to find out something before we move forward or make a decision. We're doing some research, we're doing some homework. That's where this tool is starting to, come in. Also, keep in mind, Sam Altman has got a product to sell you, so make no mistake that his response here might be biased, but something that's important nonetheless. Ethan Mollick, again, one of my favorite people that I think everyone should be following. He's from Wharton. He was one of the co-authors on the Jagged Frontier paper. This really frightens people when I show it to them. This is the GPQA diamond scores of AI over time, and this is OpenAI's O3 model. This horizontal line represents a human, a PhD with a PhD in their domain. So they are a PhD expert in their specific domain, and they have access to Google to help them solve a problem. So imagine you've gotten a PhD, you've already gotten your PhD, you are an expert in this area, and you have access. Here's a problem that you're being given. Go solve the problem, and you can use Google to solve it. And look at this O3, their model, which is internal. I've got another slide that might be a little bit better. Outperforms that human expert. So, like there it is. So when people are like, oh, it's not, I'm still better than, are you sure? Are you really, really sure? A friend of mine, and a teacher of mine, I'm going to have a debate with him. He's a software developer. He's like, no, these tools aren't real. It's all bullshit. It's, they're trained on the past data, so they can never be as good. as he is, and he's trying to build some real hardcore code and doesn't work the way he needs it to. So he perceives himself as superior to all of these tools. And I'm going to have a debate with him, and I'm not going to be able to prove to him because there's a cognitive dissonance. Like, okay, so maybe for him, he is part of that outlier. Maybe he is outside of that jagged frontier, and the work he's doing is beyond this capability. Absolutely. But for the rest of us, when we are working in a subjective field, and where there's a good enough metric, we have to take notice of all of this. So again, this O3 model, that's where we are today. This is a slide from the ARC Prize, which is a prize to again get to artificial general intelligence. You'll see that O3's high-tuned model, they got 88% on this. Look, I believe the cost on this was, $500,000 to $750,000. So this means, oh, great. So we're not at replacing all of the humans yet, but the fact that it was able to achieve it is what's important. So you've achieved this milestone of getting 88% on tests that, like, okay, I don't know how to solve. I'm not going to get a perfect score on this thing. Okay, great. What do I do? I don't know. What do any of us do? This is from, I also pulled this off of Leopold Aschenbrenner's stuff, but he got this from Clea et al., Our World in Data. Test scores of AI systems on various capabilities relative to human performance. So they zeroed out the human performance level. Wait a second. Wait, they're all doing better than I am? Then okay, all right. I'm just gonna like crawl into my closet into a little ball, turn off the lights, and sob for a little while. Like is that what we do? No. It means that we have to learn how to use these tools to the to increase our productivity. Again, that's the mission of this class, of the class I teach. So since things are changing so freaking fast, it means that uncertainty is exceptionally high. So like, what do we do? What should we do? I don't know. What do you think? You're this, we have to figure this out together. And what's really crazy is that when you're dealing with uncertainty and you're dealing with these unknowns, there are things that you can do, and we can, believe it or not, we can turn to some mathematics, deep mathematics in chaos theory and uncertainty quantification and robust decision-making frameworks to be like, okay, like just because the uncertainty is high doesn't mean that we can't figure out how to make decisions. So understanding market trends and customer behaviors and how they can snowball. This is important to chaos theory. There's good news in all of this. It's just uncomfortable to deal with that. What else? Risk assessment tools. So understanding, different market forecasts to come up with that probability envelope or a confidence interval around some expected outcomes. Also, having contingency plans is really, really smart when you're dealing with uncertainty. It's not that these are new techniques for businesses and people to understand, but just, okay, what's my contingency plan? Well, how am I going to, deal with this high level of uncertainty and this unpredictability, and to be agile? Those are some of the strategies. So again, what should I do? And I get asked this question from students, from businesses, from colleagues. Well, what should I do? And again, this is a strategy question. This is a prescriptive question. What actions should I take? And I've got my list of recommendations at the end of the presentation, but and it's like the answer is simple: run experiments. And like everyone's like, yeah, no shit, Todd, like that's not helpful. What should I run? And most people, most advisors, most pundits, myself included, are like, run experiments, run experiments. Great, not helpful. I know I should experiment. I know I should try out the tool, but I need more guidance. I need more, what should I experiment on? Where should I run an experiment? Give me something tangible that I can wrap my head around and make some effects on this stuff. What should I do? Where should I go? Well, that's also easy. And the answer is in this concept called modularity. So I'm going to assign folks some homework, which I know you're not going to do. I'm going to put these two books because I have to cite where this concept comes from. Professor Carlos Baldwin from the Harvard Business School, she wrote these two books. They are open. You can download them. They're 1,000 pages. You're not going to read them. It's okay. You don't have to read them. But what I suggest you do is copy them into Notebook LM and ask her and if you haven't played with Notebook LM, I'll show you later. in overtime. Um, your friend studied entrepreneurship, and he said that that's what entrepreneurship is: experiments. Yes, exactly. Experimentation is one of the key things. And again, that this is one of the learning outcomes of my class is entrepreneurship. The future of work is entrepreneurship. So where should you experiment? And the answer is modularity. Um, and so what is modularity? If you look at any business or supply chain or team, there's a module. So if you are in IT, Jose, like RAM, you can upgrade your RAM, you can upgrade your hard drive. Think of your hard drive in your computer as a module. So it has clear inputs and clear outputs. It's well defined. And there's of course going to be there's going to be a granularity to this. Some modules are going to be really, really small and really, really specific with, in every single one of these modules, the inputs are well defined, the outputs are well defined. That module, find the module, and that's where you should start to experiment. And the way you do this experiment is if you are the leader of a business, and you have a team of people or a supply chain, again, a robot, a machine, doesn't really matter because teams of people have modularity, and supply chains and equipment and manufacturing has modularity. Even the end product has modularity. Find where that modularity exists, and again, in that cognitive pipeline, because we're talking about a replacement of the workforce, look for that. Figure out what are the exact inputs and what are the exact outputs. Explore that decision-making process and look for something really small and tight. This is a personal, like look for something small because you can wrap your head around it. That's not too complex, because the more complex you get, the more iterations you get, the harder it is to use agentic AI to get something that's going to be, oh, okay, we can replace this module with an agentic pipeline. And we'll talk about what agentic pipeline is shortly. Um, so look for the thinking or creative module within your organization or practice. Find those inputs and outputs and search for the cognitive processes within that module. And then, oh, that was the other thing. You also really need to figure out and think about this. What are the metrics and thresholds for success that determine those various, you know, handoffs? Okay. So in other words, if you're ideating on something, well, how do we know that this is good enough? What are we looking for? What are the metrics that would occur? Like, okay, yep, this is done, ship it, send it to the output. You have to think about that stuff. So I think that's a decent definition of modularity. Um, yeah, but those books, which again, don't read. You do not have to read it. They are really designed for the business MBA student who's researching this stuff. And well, so yes, when I said metrics, I'm literally referring to exactly measurable outcomes. And by the way, those metrics could also be internal to the module. So, for example, if you're working on something internally and you're thinking about, okay, is this good enough? What are we looking for in terms of the manufacturing or the ideation or the cognitive process before we say, okay, we got it, we're done. So if you're editing a paper, you're editing an article or creating a presentation, you're going to iterate on that presentation. You're going to create your outline. You're going to fill in the blanks, and you're going to read the whole thing, and you're going to make some changes. You're going to go through a cognitive process of making that presentation or paper or research report. How do you know when it's done? I mean, by the way, one of the things, how do I know when it's done? Because it's due today. Like, I'm going to keep working on it until, well, who is it that said art is never finished, it's abandoned? Was that like Bob Dylan or something? I don't know. I'm drawing blank, but like, so you're just going to keep working on it until the freaking deadline, right? But do we need to? I mean, if we were smarter, maybe not. Maybe if we could figure out a real metric of like, okay, we've dialed this in, it's good. And by the way, if you're thinking about, hey, AI, do this shit for me, figure out when is good enough for whatever it is that you're doing, and then it could just go do it, and you could just sit back and relax and not have to work anymore. I mean, that's my dream. I just want to make art and hang out with you guys. So again, we're talking about these cognitive engines. This is what the agentic AI is all about. They're cognitive engines that can effectively outthink all of us. This is uncomfortable, but this is where we're going. Um, And by the way, that the fact that you can it can outthink all of you, we can use that as like, okay, well, I'm not an expert in this area. Suppose I'm working on a marketing campaign for an industry that I know nothing about. By using AI to assist me, I can all of a sudden become an expert in that domain just by asking AI to fill me in on my gaps here. What am I missing? Help me figure this out. Does this work? Is this project compliant with all of these laws that I've provided it with? And it might not be perfect. You might still need to get a lawyer to look at it, but all of a sudden you're going through the process to make sure that you're complying with all legal requirements, so you're compliant. And all of a sudden, when you finally hand it off to your lawyers for their final approval, they're going to be like, "Oh, you've got it all right." This is the kind of augmentation that these cognitive engines are capable of doing. All right, so what exactly is agentic AI? Todd, you've been talking about this, you've been dropping this concept, and you haven't really freaking defined it. Agentic AI generally refers to artificial intelligence systems that possess the capacity to make autonomous decisions and take actions to achieve specific goals with limited or no direct human intervention. So imagine you're a team leader or the CEO of a company and you walk into a filled meeting room with your team, with your senior team, and you give the team a mission or a goal or a problem to solve, and you walk out of the room and they go do it. So that team of people and this agentic AI has the potential, and I got to stress the word potential, to autonomously replicate the human decision making of that team and all of the different tasks and subtasks and feedback loops and goal setting and planning and adaptability that that team would have. That's what we're talking about here. So this is exceedingly uncomfortable, but again, the topic of this presentation is workforce replacement with agentic AI. Like that's the goal. We want to replace the workforce with these tools. And I can see Kirsten scowling there. So she didn't even know. I'm sorry. Fabiana's like, she's like sinking down. I know. This is, but that's where we are. Okay. So what is an agent? Why though? What do you mean, Jason?
Why do we want to replace the workforce?
Oh, okay. Well, great question. I actually have slides on that, but that's so. Can I come back to that?
Yeah.
All right, I want to come back to that because that's why do businesses and why do CEOs want to replace the workforce with agentic AI? Actually, I want you to think about that. That might be we should have that discussion, but I haven't answered that. All right. So, what is an agent? An agent is an individual component of an agentic pipeline. So think of it as one little piece of a larger thing, or in terms of a team, it's one person on a team, sort of. All right. So you've seen this before. You all know what an LLM is. You've played with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Deep Research or DeepSeek or any of these other tools. Um, so you have a knowledge of how an LLM works and their limitations, aka hallucinations. So you're looking at the prompt, the LLM, and its text output. That's what we're looking at here. You understand that, and we've talked about this. Hey, imagine you're the world's greatest, professor, researcher, physicist. Your goal is to help me figure out this problem. Here are the instructions. Let's think step by step. Ask me any questions that you don't know. Here's some examples of the output that I want you to do, and these are the constraints. So you have to answer in the style of Shakespeare. So like, okay, you know, that stuff still works with a lot of these tools. I just also want to point out that the latest, for those of you who haven't seen in a while, we have new large language models. So the O1, O3, the DeepSeek R1, Grok 3, these are reasoning large language models. You don't actually have to give it, let's think step by step, or take a deep breath and work on this. Those prompts no longer work in any of the reasoning models. Why? Because it's built into what they're doing. So don't use those. They'll actually perform worse if you do. Just a little side tangent on there. So again, back to what an agent is. So again, these are capable of interacting with their environments. They can collect data. They can use that data to perform self-determined tasks and meet predetermined goals. And by the way, you can give it the goal or they can figure out the goal themselves. But the human, actually, let me rephrase, the human really kind of sets the goals. at the highest level, but the agent itself independently chooses the best actions that it needs to perform to achieve those goals. Um, I got a bunch of examples here, but I want to skip them. So they're rational, so they can really kind of figure things out. They're not perfect. They're not perfect rational thinkers yet, but they're getting really good. So they can make rational decisions based on of their perceptions and what they see and the data that they have access to, and they can optimize their performance based and provide, and their results can be optimized based off of what they see. But the key thing here is the key word is autonomous. They are autonomous. They will just go do shit. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, whenever a large language model is doing shit, you're paying for tokens. So understand, like, there's money involved here. I mean, you can run these locally on your own computer, so you're just kind of like paying for compute, but they're they're autonomous. They're chewing up tokens fast. Um, so yeah, the planning, the executing, the learning, there's the memory, the feedback loops, all this stuff is kind of in there. All right, so I have a video here from Andrew Ng. This was a recording from, I forget when, 3.5 minutes. Let me play this.
Next presentations. So AI agents. Today the way most of us use large language models is like this, with a non-agentic workflow where you type a prompt and generates an answer. And that's a bit like if you ask a person to write an essay on a topic, and I say, please sit down at the keyboard and just type the essay from start to finish without ever using backspace. And despite how hard this is, LMs do it remarkably well. In contrast, with an agentic workflow, this is what it may look like. Have an AI, have an LLM, say, write an essay outline. Do you need to do any web research? If so, let's do that. Then write a first draft, and then read your own first draft and think about what parts need revision, and then revise your draft, and you go on and on. And so this workflow is much more iterative, where you may have the LLM do some thinking, and then revise this article, and then do some more thinking and iterate this through a number of times. And what not many people appreciate is this delivers remarkably better results. I've actually been really surprised myself working these agent workflows, how well they work. I'm going to do one case study. My team analyzed some data using a coding benchmark called the Human Eval benchmark, released by OpenAI a few years ago. But this has coding problems like, given a non-empty list of integers, return the sum of all the odd elements or uneven positions. And it turns out the answer is a code snippet like that. So today, a lot of us will use zero-shot prompting, meaning we tell the AI, write the code and have it run on the first pass. Like, who codes like that? No human codes like that. You just type out the code and run it. Maybe you do. I can't do that. So it turns out that if you use GPT 3.5, zero-shot prompting, it gets it 48% right. GPT-4, way better, 67% right. But if you take an agentic workflow and wrap it around GPT 3.5, say, it actually does better than even GPT-4. And if you were to wrap this type of workflow around GPT-4, it also does very well. And you notice that GPT 3.5 with an agentic workflow actually outperforms GPT-4. And I think this has, and this means that this has significant consequences for I think how we all approach building applications. So agents is a term that's been tossed around a lot. There's a lot of consultant reports talk about agents, the future of AI, blah, blah, blah. I want to be a bit concrete and share with you the broad design patterns I'm seeing in agents. It's a very messy, chaotic space. Tons of research, tons of open source. There's a lot going on, but I try to categorize a bit more concretely what's going on in agents. Reflection is a tool that I think many of us should just use. It just works. Tool use, I think it's more widely appreciated, but it actually works pretty well. I think of these as pretty robust technologies. When I use them, I can almost always get them to work well. Planning and multi-agent collaboration, I think of it as more emerging. When I use them, sometimes my mind is blown for how well they work. But at least at this moment in time, I don't feel like I can always get them to work reliably. So let me walk through these 4 design patterns in the next few slides. And if some of you go back and yourself will ask your engineers to use these, I think you get a productivity boost quite quickly.
So, and this is, I'm like watching this now, I'm like, wow, I think I have to find another video that's a little bit more updated because yes, this is true, but we're getting better and better. So he mentioned reflection and tool use and planning and multi-agent collaboration. The multi-agent collaboration is mind-blowing. Um, yeah, that's where, and I've got some slides that kind of explain what that means. The reflection, the hey, think about this. This is built into these reasoning models. So if you've played with DeepSeek or GPT, ChatGPT in the O1 models, you're going to start to see them like there's a thinking tab. You can toggle down whatever that is, and you'll like, oh, okay, great. It's like I'm seeing what it's going on. So the O3 mini high models that are available for paid stuff, you'll see, oh, okay, I get it. I can see how you're thinking about this. And OpenAI hides that information from the user, but tools like DeepSeek, and if you want, I mean, this would be something for an office hours where I can show you how to run one of these tools locally on your computer. But there's stuff involved with that, and you have to have a fast computer. So that's kind of outside of the scope. But the reflection tool use planning, multi-agent collaboration, and so I just want to expand on those definitions. This perception, this reflection. Like you can, what does the agent perceive? So it has access to see stuff or access to data or access to other information. So it can actually perceive and make some decisions. That action execution or that tool use. So if you have an API, if you give it a tool, especially if it has some multi-step tasks, oh, go run this tool, go do something, take an action, and wait for the action to finish, wait for that thing to go, and then based off of whatever you got, make something else happen. And again, I'm saying this in the abstract. That reasoning and decision making, that planning. We can have planning modules. We can have optimization algorithms. We can have other traditional machine learning algorithms that recommendation engines that will evaluate multiple options and then determine based off of those optimizations the best course of action and say, okay, this is what this tool suggests you do, and this will help augment your reasoning and decision making. And again, this is from the agentic AI, not the human. And then this learning and adaptation, that's where the multi-agent collaboration. So some of these agents can employ reinforcement learning and feedback loops and be like, okay, we're going to just keep ideating on this. And what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? Do you like this? Do you like this? Well, based off of this stuff, I like this. Based off of that stuff, this is awful. You suck. Okay, great. Well, we'll keep working on it. We'll keep working on it. And eventually they'll come to some decision, whether it doesn't have to be a consensus, but a decision could be made, and then we can move forward from there. So those contexts are and that refinement over time is part of that learning and adaptation. Okay, let's look at an agent. So this is one agent itself. So I'm using a microscope and I'm looking at what the hell are we talking about, and just keep in mind there's the prompt and the output. So imagine I'm just swapping out the LLM with some more stuff, because that's kind of what we're doing here. The LLM is still in here, and this reasoning. So imagine you have an O1 or an O3 type model that's capable of reasoning, or not. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. So the LLM is still there. You have your prompt, which aka task, and you have your output, which is the output of the LLM. But there's a lot more going on in here. So the LLM is in here. There's reasoning, which is drawn in a feedback loop, so to speak. So the LLM could be part of the brain here, the thinking, the reasoning, that hey, this is what I think. Let me think about it some more. This becomes part of an iteration, a feedback loop in here. So the implementation of this is not shown here, but it gets complicated. We also have memory. So we have access to, and this memory can come in a lot of different flavors. So this could be short-term memory, it could be long-term memory, it could be external memory, it could be as part of this feedback loop. So all this stuff is there. So what it's outputting internally, its internal thought process, okay, this is a great idea. I'm going to put a Post-it note over here so I don't forget it. And I'm going to come back to that later, and I'm going to go focus on something else in my thought process. And that I can, oh, well, where's that Post-it note? And that Post-it note is still is in this memory. So the cognitive skills, these are, yeah, again, like I mentioned, like if you have a traditional machine learning algorithm, like, hey, here, go figure this out, help me understand this better. Access to these multiple machine learning models can be part of these cognitive skills. But here's the fun stuff, the tools. So the tools have access to an environment. They can take an action in the environment and they can get results from that environment. So any API, any company, any service, any product, anything that has an application programmer's interface, an API, I can make an API call to that tool. The great example is a Google search or a search, an internet search. I shouldn't say Google search, but a search, a web search. So, hey, agent, I'm going to give you access to a tool and I'm going to teach you how to use this tool, kind of like a hammer. I got to teach you how to use a hammer. Well, hammers need nails, okay, as opposed to screwdrivers need screws. So, agent, I'm going to give you access to a search tool. Here's how to use it. And when you get stuff back from the search tool, here's what you're supposed to do with it. So we have to teach the agent the same way you would teach an intern. Okay, here's how to do it. Like that's the level of development that we have to provide these agents. But the notion that it could do a search that will search the environment and results will come back is a great example of this. So that's what an agent is. Okay, so this is another diagram. So here's my diagram, but there's this. I just want to stress this component here: this LLM call, an action to a tool, and this feedback. So this can happen multiple times, and it depends on the agent. Okay, it depends on what you built and how it's used. So, but the concept, the mental model, the mental picture that I want you to have in your mind is what you see here. Something's coming in, an LLM is included, tools are here as well, and there's some feedback. There's some stuff going on inside of this module, and then ultimately some output. So that again, like this is, by the way, this is from LangChain's documentation. LangChain is a coding library for Python people, for software developers. Here's another diagram that there's a thing that I want to separate out, and it's the agent, which is on the right here, okay, and this feedback loop that's happening internally, and other stuff, which, by the way, a lot of the things that we use regularly, don't be doing in an agent, put it into a workflow. And the difference here is not so much that it's this feedback loop. Well, I mean, I guess that is the primary difference here. But you're dealing with this workflow is prompt chaining and parallelization, where the LLM is embedded in predefined code paths. If we know that here's the start, here's the middle, here's the finish, or a waterfall, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, and each of these phases are clearly defined, and they're always going to be this way. They're never going to change. Think about building workflows that can automate a lot of these tasks. So this orchestrator worker, this evaluator optimizer, this routing. So like we have a router. Well, which brain do we need to go to? Are we sending this to Jamie, or are we sending it to Yuki? So a decision making will be happening in the routing. This evaluator optimizer, a generator, an evaluator. Like, hey, I'm going to make something. Is it good? No, it's not good. Here's what you should do and improve upon it. By the way, this is I'm using a lot of these. Hey, we just saw something. This is what we just made. Is it good? Yes or no? And if it's not, how do I improve it? Okay, so go improve it. This is beautiful. And you don't have to have one evaluator. You can have multiple evaluators. Okay, so and then this orchestrator, you would have like a team leader, and that team leader would delegate tasks to a bunch of workers, and then this synthesizer would be like, okay, I've compiled all of your stuff, and we're now going to figure out which are the good ones. Okay, great. So I've synthesized the final output, and we're going to send it out. So these workflows can give you superpowers. And I've got some examples of platforms that you don't have to code. There's a bunch of them. I have to double check if I have them. So some pictures of, this is from AutoGen. This is again, it's a Python library from Microsoft. there are other tools that I think are better, but like this math problem solving, this retrieval augmented Q&A, this conversational chess, dynamic task solving with a group chat. So this manager and will broadcast information to everybody, and then one person will speak back as writer, commander, safeguard, the supply chain optimization. So there's these different flows that can occur with AutoGen, and it's kind of like connecting with each other. This is actually from February. This is brand spanking new, and I found it infuriating because my startup is using this type of architecture, but not for updating a knowledge graph, but for actually solving work. When I saw this, I was like, great. Oh, shoot. But you have this central controller where you're, and by the way, this is just to be clear what this is doing. This is updating a knowledge graph. A knowledge graph is a pieces of information and how they relate to each other. So we can draw lines between the components inside of this knowledge graph. But so imagine, this parsing, extraction, and integration. So we're going to ingest, we're going to read it, we're going to summarize it, we're going to extract these pieces of information, align it into our knowledge and our understanding. We have an extraction agent, a conflicts resolution. Okay, well, there's a conflict here. How do we resolve these conflicts? I mean, think about that. Mostly people would be doing this cognitive work here. And then integrating it, this evaluator agent and this knowledge graph storage. This is kind of like the final output here. But this confidence, clarity, and relevance, and giving it this scoring of evaluation. Hey, is this good? Is this bad? Can we use it? How good is it? Where should we place it? Should we hold on to it? Should we throw it away? This is just absolutely gorgeous. All right, any questions? Because I've got a lot more. I'm going to pause for just a second. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right, no questions. Wow. I know this is very lectury. Okay, so I want you to start to think about how this would apply towards teams of people. And Mark left. Oh, well. Miss you, Mark. So this advertisement.
I have a question.
Yes. Hey, Christine.
Hi, how are you? How is generative AI and this new version different?
So specifically speaking, we're focusing from a generative AI perspective, we're focusing on the large language model. Okay. This here is generative AI. All right. Now, there's nothing stopping you from using any other generative AI tools, such as text to image or image to image, or making some videos or making some audio. Those are all generative AI technologies, but the core here is the large language model. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and then one more question. So the memory part of it is really fascinating. So for example, if I, lost my computer, and I got a new computer or I used my sister's computer, all the memory's gone, right?
I'm talking about a different kind of memory.
Okay.
Okay. I'm really not specifically referring to the files or data that's on your hard drive. Although, if you're running an agentic pipeline on your computer, yes, the hard drive in your computer is where this data is stored, but it could also be stored in the RAM of your computer as well. So this is an abstraction. More specifically, this is referring to the context window of the large language model and retrieval augmented generation. So if you're using a vector database or a knowledge graph, which was really what this was updating. So this is a knowledge graph concept. Those are examples of the memory that I'm referring to. So the context window, the prompt itself that's being fed into the large language model, a vector database or a knowledge graph database. And there's all sorts of, by the way, it could also be there's a traditional relational database. All of that stuff could be part of the memory of an agent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify what memory I was referring to. The analogy would be like the memory in your brain. Yeah. Okay, so the agentic stuff, and again, the title of this talk was workforce replacement. Wait, if we're replacing workforce, we're talking about teams of people. And so this is where it hits home. So where you have a human doing a job that gets paid to do this work, the brand manager, the creative director, a strategist, a media planner, art director, copywriter, executive producer, account manager, what are these people doing? Okay? Each of these jobs that a person does is hired to do that. Each job has a number of tasks and a number of cognitive processes that they do. For each one of those tasks, we can build an agent or a group of agents, okay, a collaboration of agents for each and every one of those things. And all of these people, well, they communicate, they talk to each other, they have meetings, they send stuff over Slack and email and files. They here, take a look at this new file to do this stuff. And there's a cognitive collaboration that happens for whatever project this advertising team is tasked with. So the idea here is new client. We here's brand XYZ. They want us to come up with a whole new advertising campaign for them and a whole new brand for this company, and we're tasked to do it. Now, that's the mission. The mission is to come up with an entirely new brand, a redesign for company XYZ, and all the advertisements and all of the individual ads and every single task, every single idea. How does an advertising agency work? Each and every one of these people and all of their subtasks can be extracted and an agentic pipeline be built and architected to solve those problems. This is exceedingly complicated, but this is the hemorrhaging edge of technology. This is where we're going. Some people are building this. I have a part of this. And again, so you've got this digital strategist and a creative director and a brand manager. Okay, well, let's take these three people and hey, here's the brand, here's the product, or the service, and we want to come up with ideas to, advertise. Well, who are we advertising to? Oh, well, we're going to advertise to our new brand of barley-based coffee, and we're going to advertise it to parents with kids, right? Okay, so how do we build an advertising campaign that strategically aligns with the population that we're trying to advertise to? All of that stuff would occur in here. Now, maybe the media planner would be a later part of the decision-making process, but the copywriter, the art director, the executive producer is going to be making sure that we're on budget, keeping track of this stuff. The account manager, I have no idea what an account manager does. But the brand manager, the creative director, these tasks, these cognitive tasks, all of the things that team would do to build the campaign is going to be incorporated. So that's the stuff we need to start to think about. And again, overlay the modularity lens, because each of these people are doing different things. And the different tasks that they do may or may not have multiple agents for that cognitive task. Because the creative director is going to have to talk to the copywriter and the art director to make sure that the text overlays their advertising campaign properly, right? There's a collaboration that's happening here. Stuff is it's being iterated on. It's not exactly a here's the answer, go move on. It's like, no, I don't like this. There's going to be feedback. There's going to be complexity in all of this. But that's where we're going with these agentic pipelines. And this applies all in almost any cognitive domain. So legal, the partners, the junior associates, the paralegals, all of this stuff, we can start to tear apart each of these job roles and all of the tasks and figure out what collaborations, what cognitive decision processes are each of these people doing, and figure out a way to build and experiment with building an agentic pipeline on top of this. So software development is another example. And I've got like a dozen other slides here, but I'm going to skip them. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Moving on. This is uncomfortable, but it's better, faster, cheaper, safer. Like that's what we're starting to talk about. We're starting to talk about the utter outperformance of people in these tasks. So if we can do it better, if we can do it faster, we can do it cheaper, great. And it used to be pick two, good, faster, cheap, pick two. Well, now we're adding safer. So better, faster, cheaper, and safer, that's all four. This is uncomfortable. And remember in class, we talked about, like what are the forever jobs and what are the jobs that should go away? Well, wait a second. If we can now start to do the safer, then shouldn't those jobs go away? We have a moral duty to remove people. We're starting to approach that. So workforce replacement. But why, Todd? What is driving this? And Jason, are you still here, Jason? Jason's still, he's here.
Yeah.
Hi, Jason. So this is, this is where I want to call on you. Why? Why do you think, what do you think is driving this?
Costs, accuracy, quality, all the things really.
Okay. You're absolutely right on the cusp of this. This has to do with business. This has to do with shareholder versus stakeholder theory. This is Milton Friedman versus Edward Freeman. So what drives a business? Profit. It's money. This is about the pure pursuit of profit. And so if you are the CEO or the board of directors of a company and maximizing shareholder value is actually the most important thing you do, because by the way, if you're not making money, your investors are going to pull their money, or you're going to quit that. If you're an entrepreneur and you're not making money, how long are you going to be able to do this? It's unsustainable. And I'm not talking about environmental sustainability. I'm talking about sustaining your business. If you have a pizza restaurant and no one's coming to buy your pizza, you're going to go out of business. So you must pursue profit, and you must be profitable. Otherwise, you're going to have to close your pizza business. Because if you can't pay yourself and pay your rent, not just for your restaurant, but your home, and pay for clothes and food for your kids and your family, you have to go find another job. So pure profit is a requirement. So this is about shareholder theory. This is about making sure that our business is profitable. So if you're the CEO or board of directors of a company and you have access to a piece of technology that is possibly, this is the path, better, faster, cheaper, safer. If it is, and it's if possibly, and you choose not to hire that technology to do the job that you have, this is Clayton Christensen's Jobs to Be Done stuff. This is from the entrepreneur unit, business model unit. And if you don't do that, you're failing your business. Your board of directors might fire you as the CEO because you're not using the latest and greatest technology. You have to understand, as the CEO, if I choose to not hire the best people to do this job, I'm failing the business. And your board of directors will fire you. And again, like, are you a startup? Are you a big company? Are you, like, where are you on the spectrum of businesses? So, and by the way, automation is always beneficial to your organization. I mean, again, we've seen this in Industrial Revolution, robotics, machine learning, automation, like that. These are the droids you're looking for. They're just better, faster, cheaper, and safer now, or we're on that road. So one of the core questions that I think I've asked almost all of you is, and for those of you who are in my class right now, if I haven't asked this yet, I will in class. Who is the primary beneficiary of artificial intelligence? This is the mental framework of shareholder versus stakeholder theory. And yeah, so that's why, Jason, I hope I answered the question.
It does. Yeah. I mean, what bothers me is to, like, okay, to what end? Like, when are we, what's enough? Is it just one person owning a company and then
Yeah.
everyone just owns a company?
Yeah, that's a
And they don't actually do work because all the work's being done for them.
I kind of like that idea, though. I mean, like, if we don't have to, again, this is the post-labor economy that I've thrown out there. Like, hey, wait a second. If the smartest, I mean, I think I pulled this slide out. I don't remember. I forget if I have this in here. No, I have it. I won't spoil it. But yeah, like, if I can be an entrepreneur and if I can own my own company, shouldn't I? Or do I want to? Do I want just a job? But the problem, again, that we are as members of the workforce are going to be facing is the replacement effects. And what are the forces that drive the replacement effects? When a CEO runs an experiment and the experiment is, hey, we got some success here, and now I can replace Todd. Okay, then I'm out of a job. I've got to be ahead and above this. Not everyone has the capacity to be their own CEO. Kirsten, this is true. I agree. However, the future of work, my answer to that is, is entrepreneurship. I think that we need to fill in that gap of business understanding. And so that people, and by the way, we are designers, we are creatives, we are the artists, we have a superpower because we can imagine solving those problems. We just, on average, don't have the business skills to do it. We are already entrepreneurs. We just use that entrepreneurial, knowledge in a completely different capacity. So, yeah. I hope that helps the mechanisms for this. Okay, so signals, data, because everyone wants to see data, and I'm going to skip through this because it's already 7:42. I just got to read this. This is from Anton Koronek, University of Virginia, Darden School of Business. Breathe. AI systems will outperform human workers in all cognitive functions, including jobs that require creativity and emotional skills. Ultimately, I'm afraid that human capital will become the greatest legacy asset in history. This is an important paper that people need to read. Let me post this. Yeah. And so, when is this going to happen? Are we looking at 2 weeks? No, we're not. Okay. Things are not going to change that fast. Probably 2 to 5 years, maybe even longer. Robotics aren't going to be that far behind the physical functions and dexterity of human workers. But we're getting there. We're really getting there. So there's uncertainty in the timing of this. Here is another report from the World Economic Forum. Regardless of whether you like this organization, this is their latest report. I want to draw your attention to these upskilling is the top workforce strategy for employers by 2030. And you've heard me talk about we need to upskill and reskill the workforce. We have to teach people. We have to upskill them. We got to give you new skills. We got to send you for training. Okay, what? What skills? Tell me what skills the workforce needs to learn. And very few people have any good answer to that. Why? Well, because, if the marginal cost of if creating something and understanding something costs us nearly nothing, what skill could you possibly learn that an AI can't outperform you? And we now have agentic AI pipelines. What skill could you possibly learn that an agentic AI will not do better than you or at your level? Nobody's got a really good answer to that. And that's why my answer, which I think is the best answer, okay, I'm biased, is entrepreneurship. So, Kirsten, I understand most people are not entrepreneurs. It takes a different mindset. But to me, the fact that humanity is not running out of problems to solve anytime soon means that we, as the creatives and the artists, can start to say, you know what? Maybe I can do this. And yes, you can do this. You just need to learn how to use AI to solve that problem in whatever domain you choose. And I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. So that's it. So just to focus on this, upskill your workforce. And then the second thing that employers are looking at is accelerate the automation of processes and tasks. Did I not just show you how agentic AI can automate processes and tasks? So that's why this presentation is about workforce replacement. Because 73% of the people who filled out this survey, and this can be extended to a larger population, said that one of their second highest priority is to accelerate the automation of processes and tasks. Disruption to skills. 39% of workers' core skills will change by 2030. This is low. This is absurd to me. This is because the people that are in the survey do not understand fully the capabilities of what agentic AI can do today and where we are. So I think that if they were to focus on how many people are currently using, and if they were to stratify this, I think we would see a higher percentage here. What else did I want to talk about this? Reskilling and upskilling existing workforce to better work alongside AI. Okay, so humans with AI, augmentation effects, we've seen this before. Hiring new people with skills to design AI tools and enhancements appropriate for the organization-specific skills. Okay, what the hell does that mean? We've talked about explore and exploit in my class, this core and explore. So businesses focus on optimizing the core of their organization. This is a lead and disrupt from Mike Tushman and O'Reilly. They talk about this in their book. That's what businesses do. And one of the things that they could do is they can create a new business unit. And that business unit would be an exploratory business unit. And an example of where companies failed to do this would be Kodak. So Kodak invented digital photography. Okay, this is a failure case. Don't be like Kodak. Kodak had separate business units, but the problem is the entire core of the company was focused and optimized and incentivized on selling film. And when an engineer said, I invented the digital photography, and yeah, they had the patents, and they were like, hey, can you sell this? They were like, no, the manager and the CEO got bonuses based off of celluloid sales. So at no point in time could they ever have been successful in digital photography because the company itself didn't know how to adapt to changing technologies. They owned it. It was theirs. Another example of a failure case is actually Google. Google invented the transformer model, yet OpenAI is the market leader. Okay, they released the technology, they sat on it, they didn't do anything with it because they couldn't wrap their head around the fact that this was the actual answer to their problem. And right now, Google's advertising, Google search is in trouble because more people are now using, AI to do the search than Google is. Now, granted, Google's going to be fine. They're pivoting beautifully right now, but I've been very critical of that organization. So hiring new people with skills to design AI tools and enhancements appropriate for the organization-specific skills. I will come back to this, but I want to just highlight, what does that mean? It means that your business should be hiring AI engineers and designers to build these tools so that they can automate the core. So businesses, I have a slide on this later towards the end. What should businesses do is hire for core and explore. So every single person that I hire in my core, my traditional people doing the work, I'm going to hire in a separate business unit an AI practitioner. And that AI practitioner sees everything going on in the core. No one in the core even knows that this person has been hired. All information goes from the core to the explore, and this team right here is their mission is to replace the entire cognitive decision-making process of the core of the business. And once they've done this, all of these people will lose their job. Almost all of them. Okay, not all of them, but almost all of them. Because we can now automate every single cognitive process. And using the frameworks of agentic AI that I just showed you. That's what smart businesses, strategic businesses are doing today. In fact, that's what I would recommend they do. If they're not doing it now, they should start. We're ending the first mover advantage. That's coming to an end. All right. So let me keep going. Fastest growing and declining jobs by 2030. So the fastest growing jobs: big data, fintech, AI, machine learning specialists, software application developers, security management, data warehousing, autonomous and electric vehicles, UI, UX designers. Okay, great. I question this because we now do have generative UI. So I don't know why this is here, but I could be wrong. Declining jobs: postal service clerks, data entry, cashiers. Number 11. Number 11, graphic designers. This categorizes most of the design work that we do. Declining jobs. Largest growing and declining jobs. So we've got fastest growing and the largest growing. Again, number 13. Not what we want to hear. Okay, I understand that. I'm just explaining this is the reality. This is what's happening. This is where we are, and what do we need to do about it. Trends in AI, robotics, and energy technologies are most, what was this? 86% AI and information processing. I like that they have VR and AR. In fact, I was just up at in Boston for a large language model workshop this past weekend, and they have an entire like AR, VR, and XR. Like they just like they're really focusing on augmented reality technologies that could really help. And again, this is like transformation effects. So everyone wearing glasses that can augment their world, I think that that's exciting. So there's creative stuff still for us to do. But the core skills, again, upskill, reskill. Okay. Analytical thinking, all right. Resilience, flexibility, and agility. Great, because your resilience is going to be tested because you're going to get pounded. You're about to get steamrolled. So you need to be flexible. Leadership and social influence and creative thinking. Oh, good. That's a superpower that we have. All of us have number 4 in droves. So we've got that. That's us. We have that better than most people, believe it or not. I mean, I know because I've talked to them on a regular basis. Like they're business people. They're all about optimization and Six Sigma and focusing on the core and looking at numbers. They are not, by any definition, creative at all. Forget it. Like this is not part of their skill set. Motivation, self-awareness, technological literacy, empathy, and active listening. I don't have that at all. Curiosity, lifelong learning, talent management, and service orientation in customers. Great. So of these core skills, most people already exist with them. Okay, I know a few kids who never really grew up from middle school, from elementary school. But on average, most people have these core skills. Okay. I'm going to skip through a lot of all of this stuff, but I want to just dump these out there. So this is more evidence. Deloitte, God, I love these guys. Deloitte is kicking butt on their papers, on their research. I'm just going to, read that. Too much to go on over here, too much to go over there. This is another Deloitte paper. But when you have a chance, download these, take a look at them. The key findings from this paper, again, the folks over at Deloitte are just hitting home runs on their analysis, better than McKinsey, I think. Agentic AI is gaining interest as a breakthrough innovation that could unlock the full potential of generative AI. So, Christina, you were asking where does generative AI come into this? With generative AI powered systems having the agency to orchestrate complex workflows, coordinate tasks with other agents, and execute tasks without human involvement. However, agentic AI is not a silver bullet, and all the broad challenges currently facing generative AI still apply. So again, hallucination. Oh my God, it's wrong. It's factually incorrect. All of this stuff is playing out in near real time, and it's exponentially changing. Generative AI adoption is driven by internal demand, with early adopters seeking to use these tools to meet their specific needs. What were some of the barriers to developing and generative and deploying Gen AI? Worries about regulations, difficulty managing the risks, implementation challenges, lack of technical talent and skills, lack of a governance model. I mean, come on. Difficulty identifying use cases. Okay, I already gave you an answer for that one. Modularity. You don't know where to go. Okay, listen to me. Send them my way. I'll explain that stuff to them. It's like, there's the answer. Modularity. Lack of an adoption strategy. Okay. Trouble choosing the right technologies. Just talk to a Python programmer. Cultural resistance from employees. That's a big one because employees recognize, oh, you are going to replace my job. Yeah, that's exactly right. The board of directors and the CEO are incentivized to replace your job, regardless of what level of stakeholder theory the company has. What do businesses do on average when they have surplus workforce? On average, they fire them. They fail, and this is bad. Good businesses don't, by the way. I just want to clarify this. Good, well-run organizations, they have surplus employees. They are going to empower those employees to learn, to develop, and go attack the wish list. The wish lists are the performance gaps and the opportunity gaps. Hey, we failed to do this one thing really well. You're surplus. You're not doing anything right now. I need you to help us get better. That's what good businesses will do. Not having the right infrastructure data, okay, fine. Fire your IT team and get new IT team. And lack of executive commitment and or funding. Any questions? Jose, I saw you come off of mute. Did you have a question?
Oh no, I was just gonna make a little joke that,
Do it.
but like retraining, empowering your employees doesn't do anything for your quarterly reports. So.
Agreed. That is one of the problems that capitalism faces. That CEOs and boards of directors are beholden to the shareholders, again, on publicly traded companies, on a quarterly basis. I think that it requires an extreme level of forward-thinking leadership to basically tell your shareholders and the stock market to go F themselves, that we are on a X quarter roadmap here, and for the next, Y quarters, we're going to be not meeting our numbers, or we're not going to be here, we're going to be meeting different numbers. And then you just have to meet the numbers. You have to say to your shareholders, these are the numbers that we're going to be. It requires leadership. But you're absolutely right, Jose. It's really hard. So this was in the paper. Start planning for generative AI agents and prioritize your workforce and prepare for disruption. So I want to go back. I think I forgot to mention this with this slide. Okay, this is from the World Economic Forum. Upskill your workforce and accelerate the automation of processes and tasks. Do you see some tension there? Do you see them battling it out? Right? Hey, we're going to teach you new stuff, but we're also going to hire people to automate the processes and tasks of the business. That's where we are at. That is absolutely key to understand, that there's tension here. So plan for AI agents and prioritize your workforce and prepare it for disruption. Get ready, folks. We are going to be disrupted. PricewaterhouseCoopers also has a report. Copy, paste, and bear with me. Accenture has another report. So I've read through all of this. Yes, I asked AI as well, but I read through them first. And what was this? Oh, this was an interesting. I didn't love this paper. It's from December. It's okay. I'll just post it in here anyway. But this is an interesting graph on average number of minutes to complete a task with and without generative AI. I thought that this was really interesting. So, with generative AI, there's like without it. Okay, so this is augmentation effects. This is an example of a paper that's basically studying this. Like, okay, great, lovely. I thought that was an interesting thing. What is this? Oh, this is from February 3rd, I think. O3 achieves a gold medal in the 2024 IOI and obtains Codeforce's rating on par with elite human competitors. So, this is a coding metric. Great. So these tools can outcode all of us. Yeah, I want that debate. Anthropic AI, the company that makes Claude, which economic tasks are performed with AI, evidence from millions of Claude conversations. This is a great study. And the median wage at $60,000, computer programmers, software developers. So we're looking at the wage versus the percent of conversations that they're having. This is highly biased because they're only using their own internal data. But this is, I think, one of the first analyses that are based on the conversations that their customers are having. So there's a selection bias that reveals a picture on how AI is being incorporated into these real world tasks that are across an economy. So, you've got obstetricians and gynecologists, software developers, copywriters, tutors. So, the percent of the conversation. Again, it's interesting. It's another piece of data. And then this one was also from the same report, representation relative to the US economy, AI usage by job type, so office and administrative, computer and mathematical, arts, design, sports, entertainment, media. I really wish that they hadn't lumped this. I wish they would have done something, separated those out. I want to see the granularity. Jose.
Did you get a chance to read how they got the data for like what their professions are? Did you read about this? Did you read this? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll read it if you didn't, but
Yeah.
how did they get it? So they just surveyed people?
My understanding is that they were looking at their own data of their own users.
Right, but they don't ask you like what do you do? Like I have a paid Anthropic, Claude account, and they didn't ask me what I did for me to get it. I'm just wondering if it's actually like a subset of the people, or if they somehow have like internal metrics, sort of like where they're identifying people by the queries they make, which would be also interesting.
That's a great
Um,
question. I mean, I thought that they did this based off of the job categorizations.
okay.
I
No, it's just because I specifically at some point had the idea to ask Claude who I was, and it was very forceful in being like, oh, I don't know, we don't keep anything, we don't infer any sort of data from the queries that you make. Whereas I asked ChatGPT who I am, and they were like, "Oh, you work in a technology field, you teach classes, you in
Mhm.
an art school, whatever." Like, so it took all of my conversations and it told me like, "This is who I think you are based on what you've asked."
That's very
Um,
possible that that's exactly what they did, but I thought they were
mm,
just using categorizations from like the Department of Labor. I don't remember.
yeah.
Yeah, homework, more homework. How are we doing on time? Okay, it's 8 o'clock. Augmentation of tasks versus automation of tasks. Again, augmentation effects versus replacement effects. Percentage of conversations. This is again where there's a gap here, but still worth paying attention to, and it's biased. All right, so let's talk about the tools and the technology. This is a slide deck that I've from a presentation I've given before. Many of you probably have already seen a lot of the stuff. If you haven't played with Notebook LM, for those of you who've been away from my class for a while, this is a fantastic tool. It's from Google. It's free. You upload your documents. I can give you a demo. We can do something like for office hours or something like that. Google AI Studio. You can do all sorts of fun things with this. Again, they do have some paid stuff that you have here, but I need to update this image here, but you can just have a conversation with some of their free models as well. For the Python people in the room, LangChain is the first place to start. It's a Python library that gives you the ability to play with these agentic and build these agentic pipelines. Crew AI, this is for Python people. This is really great I've had a lot of success with this, for creating workflows where I know here's the first stage, here's the second stage, and that kind of stuff. I've had some great successes with this. When you want to get into the multi-agent collaborative stuff where things tend to fall apart, AutoGen is where you want to be. Um, Flowise has a nice. I've only played with this briefly, but I just want to mention it here. Flowise has a nice graphical user interface where you can wire things up. Memory and chat GPT and conversation chain. So you can build and you can wire these things up yourself. You still need to have a programmer's mindset because you're wiring up an infrastructure here. Langflow is another one that's, I think, a competitor of Flowise. Oh, wait, wrong direction. Vector Shift is another one to build some AI apps. I feel like this one was more internal for internal corporation business stuff. Um, why did I put this in here? This is a paper from AMD Johns Hopkins researchers using LLM agents as research assistants. So literature review, plan. Oh, I know. This was for the academic. This doesn't apply to you guys. I mean, still, it's like, oh, great. Doing a PhD. They've automated the whole thing. This upset a lot of people. Like, no, this is like I just got my PhD and I spent 2 years doing a literature review. Arcade, I have not played with this one, but it's like go beyond chat, make AI actually do things. Okay, great. This one was anything. Oh, I wanted to show this. This is anything LLM. So if you decide that you really, you don't need to, but I'm just going to put it here. App, open source, you can download it, you can run it using any of the public LLMs. You have to get an API key, you have to configure it. Or you could run this locally on your computer. If you have a fast computer, you can run an LLM on your workstation. And all of your stuff will be private. You're never sending your stuff anywhere. This is just something I'm throwing out to universe. It's good for some people. If you're not into this heavily, don't waste your time. Focus on one of the commercial cloud-based solutions. If you are heavy workflow automation, if your stuff is like, hey, we can really automate this workflow, take a good look at Zapier, Make.com, and N8N. N8N has an open source, downloadable, configurable kind of thing. Zapier and Make are cloud-based. They are not cheap. But N8N can be made cheap if you want to run locally and you want to run LLMs locally and that kind of stuff. But these are really workflow automation. So like, hey, an email just came in. Now I need to do certain tasks based off of that. So these are great platforms for, well-defined action, reaction, decision making. Hey, an email's come in. Let's automate the response to it. And so we'll automatically build an email response to thank you for your email. We'll get back to you really soon. And then the person's email address is added to our database, and a Slack message goes out to the team. Hey, we just got this email from so and so. Who wants to take this? That kind of stuff. Like all of that workflow automation can occur with these platforms. I did mention local large language models. There are two don't go down this route unless you really want to, if you have a real fast computer. This is the kind of thing that we would do in open office hours and open disruption office hours for everyone if you want to. LM Studio, you can download this. This is the tool that I use. There's a graphical user interface. You can run code off of it. You can do all sorts of fun things. The other one, this is really a command line focusing large language models to run locally on your computer, designed for developers, is called Olama. Of course, I don't have the URL for either of these things in my slides. Great. So, where are we? This is where we are. Bill Joy said, no matter who you are, most of the smartest people work for some. Thank you, Jose, that's Olama. No matter who you are, most of the smartest people work for someone else. And the tiny problem with this concept in the age of agentic AI is that the smartest person you can hire is not a freaking human. So what are we talking about, folks? So what do we do? What happens to our society? What does the future of work look like? And this is the stuff that we need to focus on. And that's why my class exists. That's why you took this class, so you can understand the world we live in and the strategies to move forward. And I've said this already tonight, and I've said this in the class repeatedly, the only job of the future is entrepreneurship, because humanity will not run out of problems to solve anytime soon. You've seen me post this stuff almost every session. This is my North Star. We have to focus on how do we maintain and solve these problems that people are facing. A good friend of mine, Saima, she said, we currently value IQ and knowledge and skills, these hard skills. I can do this thing and I know this data. In the future, we're going to value EQ, which unfortunately conflicts with what Professor Kornick said, his quote earlier. Yes, we all need to take business classes, Kirsten, which is why I have a business model and an entrepreneur unit in our class. But this EQ is, if you can build an AI agent that has all of the knowledge of human psychology, who can be your coach or your therapist, and apply that to the workforce. Okay, do we need EQ anymore? Like from a skill set, I question. That's a debate. So yeah, what skills? I don't know. Resilience, adaptability, lifelong learning. Okay, those I like. So Rory Sutherland, a marketing guru out of the UK, this is a quote from him: "Do not replace meaning with function." And this is a warning. Don't replace a doorman with an automatic door. The doorman does a lot more than open and close doors. And I just thought that this was so freaking brilliant, because we do value EQ, and we need to value EQ, because the doorman doesn't just open and close the door. They make sure that you got into your car. They're going to receive packages. They're going to greet you. They're going to play with the dog that you're walking. Like, the doorman does a whole lot. They're going to make sure that the place is safe and secure. Just because you can automate something doesn't mean you should automate something. Don't replace meaning with function. And that I think is really important. So why? Again, it's shareholder and stakeholder theory. That's why this is happening. Sam Altman said, we are now confident that we know how to build AGI as we have traditionally understood it. We believe that in 2025, we may see the first AI agents join the workforce and materially change the output of companies. We continue to believe that iteratively putting great tools in the hands of people leads to great, broadly distributed outcomes. So what's the strategies for success? What should we do? Well, it's again, the future of work. It's like you are either telling an AI agent what to do, or an agentic AI is going to tell you what to do. And human to human roles they're always going to exist. Humans with AI are going to replace humans without AI, but the human is still there. It's not going to terminate or destroy humanity. I mean, we'll do that to ourselves. But I think that's unlikely. So we need to learn how to tell an agentic AI what to do. So entrepreneurship, in my mind, is absolutely the mandate. And so people using AI to solve the problems facing humanity, to create value and capture value, is where this is. And again, I never talk about the risks with this. There are absolutely, just remember, there are no risks. There's none whatsoever. This stuff is going to work perfectly. There's nothing to talk about when it comes to risks at all. I'm just kidding. We really should be spending an entire semester focusing on the risks of AI to every single practice, to every innovation, to every single industry. So the best I can do is to just simply minimize those risks. And that is arguably the best slide transition ever that you will ever see. I'm minimizing the risks. I've just solved the problem visually. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you all. Lastly, there is no moat. Everyone has access to this technology. However, data centers are an economic, military, and political power, which is why the United States and many governments are spending so much money to build the data centers, because compute is the thing that we need to focus on. And you've heard me talk about this, that those subjective metrics as the canary in the coal mine for work disruption. Great, we're going to see that, because whatever's good enough, we can automate using an agentic AI. If there's a subjectivity in it, I'm going to target that. It's from a modularity perspective. If it's subjective, that's where to go. And move this out on a longer time frame. Those subjective metrics, that which makes us human, that's the future. That's the creativity. That's the design. That's the taste. That's the human imagination. Those are going to be the future. They're not going to go away. They're going to be transformed, but we as the creatives absolutely have those as superpowers. We're born with that already. That's our default. We are always looking at stuff and figuring out ways to ideate and incorporate and come up with new ways of thinking and new designs, new ideas. That's what we do every day. Every time we sit down at a blank canvas, we're creating something new. Most people don't do this. Most people cannot even wrap their heads around this. Yes, Jose, 100%, you can and should consider making the AI do the business part for you. You get to choose. That's exactly what I want to hear. Dude, seriously. All right. 5 things to do in the age of AI. Yes, it's a list of 10. Lifelong learner, critical thinking, math, statistics, coding. Sorry, I have to throw that in there. Soft skills, collaborate, network, become a generalist and a specialist. Because if you don't know something, ask AI to fill in the gap. Entrepreneurial mindset, morals and ethics, because we're just going to minimize the risks here. Creativity and innovation, and master the art of the possible. And the list of 11 things that's grown for 5 things that organizations should do. Look for that modularity. That's it. Experiment based off of the modules that you find. You have to rethink all of those business practices and the business models. Hire for the core and explore. And this is, I touched on this before. Every single AI practitioner that you hire, their mission is to find a business cognitive process that they can experiment and automate. Like literally, if I'm the CEO of a large company, and I need to hire a new person to do whatever, legal, marketing, business, whatever it is. That person that I hire, I'm going to onboard them. I'm going to teach them how we do things. I'm going to teach them where to go in Slack and where the documentation is and who they report to. And every single email, every single conversation, every single Slack message, every single thing that this person does, and everything that goes into that person's process and everything that comes out of that person's job, we're going to watch. We're going to monitor it. Oh, and by the way, if you think that there's any privacy in business, there isn't. You're an employee in the United States. You're an employee at will. That means I could look at every single email that you send, every single mouse click that you make. I can monitor, I can watch, and I can learn from. And so all of that information will go to the business, to the exploration AI business unit so that they can automate that job. All of it. That's what smart businesses are starting to do strategically. Give AI to all of your employees. Okay. Learn how they use AI. Because the whole point is the business needs to learn how to automate those tasks and augment those tasks. Look for those performance gaps, those opportunity gaps, and those wish lists. Master the art of the possible. Be adaptable. Manage your risk appropriately. I was on a call with the CEO of a company last year, and they were like, "Yeah, our legal team said we'll get sued if we use AI, so we're banning it." And our IT team said it would take them 18 months before they would approve the use of ChatGPT in the organization, and they were only approving an older version of it. And I'm just like, you're done. Your competitors are going to destroy you. Within 2 weeks, he pivoted the company because he realized like legal's worried about being sued. I'm like, you're going to get sued no matter what you do, and you're going to either get sued by a company or by a customer who's possibly harmed by AI, or you're going to get sued by your freaking shareholders or you're going to get fired by your shareholders for going out of business. So risk management is key, making sure that everyone, including your core employees, are properly incentivized. Like, hey, you're not going to lose your job. How do you prove that? I don't know, but make sure that those incentives are there, and prepare for exponential change. Prepare your workforce for disruption. So there it is. Oh, this book just dropped. I had Jeff Busgang at HPAP Startups last Wednesday. I'll post that recording soon on the startups website. But he HBS professor, the experimentation machine, finding product market fit in the age of AI. So if you're the entrepreneur in the room, this is the book was just released today publicly. All right, thank you. That's everything that I have for tonight, I believe. So I'm going to stop sharing. And yes, you can drop your thank you below the fold. It's okay to break the design rules. Fabiana's smiling.
Can I ask
Fabiana's smiling at that one. So what? Oh, sorry. What'd you say, Rhonda?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please. That's why I'm here.
So, what happened recently was Adidas came up with a campaign that was totally generated on AI with all the projects, and they sent it out to social media, and the products were trying to sell out like in a few seconds,
Yeah.
but they never really existed because they were all done in AI. And I could see this as a really great way to help businesses test their products before they actually manufacture to see if there's a market for it.
Perfect. That is
Right.
exactly one of the things that an entrepreneur does. That is right out of the Lean Startup playbook and the Strategizer playbook. That's
So my
exactly right.
question is, my question is as the AI exists now, is there a way for an author to put a book into AI and it can predict how it would sell or
Not
how
not to
well
my
it would be
knowledge, but
received?
that's a great use case. Um, you would need to know. So like Amazon would probably, sorry, not Amazon would have this data. The publishers would have this data. Yeah, that's a great question. But so how to predict future sales definitely is a great use case. I love that. Yeah, if you know any publishers and you can figure out what works and what doesn't work, let's look at those processes. Let's build a machine learning model on that and plug that machine learning model into an agentic pipeline to give that feedback to an author. Beautiful idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. What companies are using agentic AI as in they are blowing your mind examples? I can't talk about that. I'm under non-disclosure agreements to talk about the ones that are blowing my mind. But that's a great question, Kirsten. Thank you. Jason.
Yeah, I'm a visual person. I'm trying to wrap my head around where I actually start implementing this. Do I start with learning how to use these um like makers of AI agents, like
Yeah, you could. I mean, honestly, I think that the easiest stuff is the Zapier Make and N8N. Take a look at N8N because it's got an open source where you can just download and install. You'll need a computer. You're getting into this universe that's complicated, but they have documentation. Take a look at those three. Do a run through, sign up, see what what user interface you like with those. That's where I would start because the easiest thing to wrap your head around is a workflow.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, I know that this is the path that we're going to do. And the next step from a complexity perspective, that's where the agentic stuff comes in. And right now, this is the where I've seen the biggest success it's in Python. Um, the Flowwise, that's another. What was the other? The vector Flowwise. I forget which one that was. What was it? Flowwise agent vector shift. Yeah,
paid AI Studio.
Flow-wise.
Flowwise. I feel like that's a great, because it's a user interface that you could do that. Also, you know what's funny? I just saw anything LLM, and I haven't used this in a year. Uh, they just added some agentic features to this thing, and I haven't played with it. Like that's the kind of thing that what we should probably do is like do in office hours, uh, uh, and play with that. Just install it, download it, and see what it's capable of. But so that's running
Are you,
locally on your computer. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
are you doing office hours this Thursday?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. We're technically on spring break, so
I know. I just
I
asking.
wasn't planning on it. I mean, tonight was the Kirsten and Jamie, we were in. I popped into a peer learning over the weekend. Like, I want to teach this stuff. I want to talk about the agentic stuff, but I didn't know how. So they peer pressured me into doing this tonight. So I blame Kirsten and Jamie.
So,
Um,
so I'd like
thanks.
to check. Jason, you're a visual person. I am too. I'm a creative director. So I just did a test with the AI. I'm doing a pitch for 3 different community logos, very different communities. And I thought, let me test this out in AI. And what it did was I just said, AI, design a logo for me. And I was really shocked at what came back. 3 very different communities. And it came back with, 1950s logo looking iterations, which was fine. But what it did was it gave me all the elements of the community and what the community was about. One was in Texas, so it was cotton and oil drilling imagery. And one was in on the ocean in Long Island. So it gave you all the imagery for Long Island. So it was kind of interesting because it basically gave you a visual representation of a creative brief, my opinion. So it was kind of fun.
That's a perfect use case. So
You
go
use,
ahead.
out of curiosity, like which AI tool did you use to make
I
these?
used Chat GBT, and I know it's not the most, I mean, Python possibly would have been even better.
No, for logo stuff, for logo design, I mean, like I think it's Adobe Illustrator personally, because I just think that is a traditional logo designer's tool of choice. Uh, uh,
Well, no, I'm not saying that we're going to design that, but if you go into Chat GPT and you ask them to come up with a version of it, it gives you
oh,
basically this image. And I was really shocked to see it. It was a really interesting test. It's not that we're going to use it, but it's kind of a little version of a creative brief, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Um,
That's the superpower. Like, so, and then the replacement effects is if you're a startup and you need a logo, why would I pay a person to do this? If I,
Well, I don't want everyone to know this, and
oh, they already know.
nor would you ever use these logos. There, like I said, there were 1950s versions of a logo.
So again, if it's up to the CEO of the startup. If they
Yeah.
don't have a designer, okay, what am
They
I? If
will
I'm
do
the
that.
CEO of a startup and I need a logo, and by the way, when does a business need a logo? Usually at the beginning, okay, on average. Sometimes they'll rebrand, and by the way, that's a strategic decision. Like I've had clients and friends and startups that I've advised. I'm like, they're like, hey, we're going to go hire this designer. And they came back with $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 for a logo design. And we don't really want to spend our money on marketing and design right now. We need to focus on the business. Exactly. So I'm either doing it for free, they're going on Fiverr.com or doing an open innovation solution, running 99 designs, and they'll get at contests. And they're just going to say strategically, we know in the future we will rebrand. They're going to reserve money. So once they have product market fit, then they will rebrand. So you don't want them to use it. That doesn't mean that that's ever going to happen. That universe doesn't exist where they won't use it because one of us doesn't want them to. They're going to use it and they're incentivized to use it. So,
Right, but as soon as they see it, they'll see there are misspellings and a lot of other problems
and
with it.
great, fixable. So, hey, I like this idea. Then they could go hire a person on Fiverr.com and say, here's
Right.
my AI generated logo, fix this up, move these things around, go do it.
Yeah,
uh,
I'm not advocating
Christina,
that because
Yeah,
that's my industry, but
i-
right.
if I might just add something, there is a app site, mylogo.review,
Yeah.
that you can put the logo in and it will give you a whole analysis if it's working or not for your target audience in very great detail.
Oh, I love it. That's beautiful.
It's called mylogo.review and it works amazingly. So you can try that if you'd like.
I would suggest I would not suggest anyone do this with anything confidential. I would suggest they use this on like, hey, ChatGPT, design me a logo. Does this work? Yeah. Oh, I love this. Yeah. This is a great experiment on yeah, beautiful. I'm looking at this website right now. I don't, why would anyone have a subscription plan? Okay, agency, solopreneur. Okay, fine. Yeah, if you're a logo design agency and you can't do this on your own, you're useless, right? I mean,
Well, but you can replace an employee with a
you can
$20
replace,
subscription a month, you know.
yeah,
It's
yeah. Actually, this is great because like if again, this is logo design. So PQ, my startup, is focusing on this review, this feedback loop, but for an entire campaign.
right. So this website is part of your
But it's
your
just
your
for logo. This is a logo.
I know, but it's sort of
I love
like a
this logo.
small analogous part to your pipeline there.
Yeah,
By
this
the
is great.
way, this is not really a question. It's more like, well, yeah, I guess it's a question. I don't know if Todd, you've experienced this or you have an explanation, but sometimes I've run into this issue where I ask ChatGPT to generate an image and it does it, right? And it just does it. And then 2 days later, I go on a chat and I ask it to generate an image and it can't. And it's like, oh, I don't have access to do that.
Oh, I've never seen that. It's
You've never
possible
seen that? I've
down.
seen that. I've seen that. I have the paid version, right? And I've seen it a
happened.
couple of times where I did it and it generated an image using Dolly.
Huh.
Then a couple of days later, I asked it to generate another image, and it just gives me an SVG, right? So it tries to define like vectors and stuff, and those SVG images are horrible.
That
And I
happened
tell
to
it
me
like,
today.
yeah, and I tell it like, no, use Dolly, and it tells me like, no, I don't have access to Dolly, and
I've
it's like
never
it's trying
seen
to
that.
gaslight me into
Yeah.
thinking
Oh
that
yeah.
it doesn't do it.
It's just
But then
fucking with
like
you.
Yeah, and then 1 week later I do it again and it gives me the image generated from DALL-E, and then
I was gonna
a
say
week later
restart your
it doesn't.
computer.
No, you do not, Chris, you do not need to restart your computer. That's not the
I've
problem.
had it tell me it can't because of, I don't know, some reason it's not appropriate.
That
But I keep
Oh,
asking it.
well,
And
but that's
after
something
I'd
else, yeah.
asked it like 3 or 4 times, it actually generated the image for me.
Yeah.
to me, Jose, that sounds like they are just having a service outage on their back end. That doesn't make
Yeah, that's what I figured, right? But I ask it like, hey, what's going on? Are you having a server problem? And it doesn't want to like admit it.
you guys want to see some cool stuff? And if there
Yeah,
are
of
any other
course.
questions, I've got some more stuff if you want to see it.
Let's
So you know how
go.
like, oh, go ahead.
No, let's go. Let's see it.
Oh, let's go. Okay. Let's do this. All right. You're gonna be upset. All right. None of this stuff is gonna make you happy. In case you haven't seen WAN, they just dropped their AI video tool. This is AI generated, folks.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd it go?
Oh,
Is
wow.
this
A
a freebie
bicycle.
too?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is
Kirsten?
it free?
Yes, you can download and run this on your computer. You're gonna need
Oh, it's open source. Like I can run it on my computer.
Yep.
Okay.
You can put this in Comfy, I think.
In Comfy?
Yeah.
I mean, it does say coming soon though.
That's their paid. That's their cloud.
Ah, got it.
Look, they're gonna monetize this. This is,
Of course.
I mean, prompt in a cozy kitchen, a golden retriever wearing a white chef's hat. I mean, really? I mean, there's just more to this, but cinematic quality, controllable editing, visual text generation. Merry
Wanks.
Christmas, Wanx. That's an X, Todd Reed. Jesus. Sound effects and music, ice falling. So there's the clip. It generates the sound effects for you. All sorts of stuff. This is all generated.
On our local?
I'm sorry?
How do we get this on our local?
You'll have to go to Hugging Face and install software and run it and follow the instructions. But if you want to play with it, you can do text to video or image to video. So this is currently busy, so we can't really run it, but whatever. It's not going to run. Oops.
What, you don't have this installed on your computer already, Todd?
I do
Come
not.
on.
I'm focusing on completely other things right now. But again, this is going to be. Here we go. There you go.
God, this looks like it's Korean or Chinese
No,
or
it's Chinese. Yeah,
It's
this is all-
Chinese.
yeah,
So
exactly.
is that going to cause a problem with our computers and crash them?
Well, not if you download it locally. No. Like you can download their code. You can do whatever you want with it. But this is open source, open weights.
How big of a computer do you need? Like how powerful?
That's a tough question that I don't really feel comfortable answering, but you're going to need something really heavy.
Yeah, so
this is not like a 5-year-old.
Oh,
like
they tell you right there, you need an RTX 4090.
Yeah.
Oh, is that in Chinese?
No.
No, it's
Wait, what?
So I should
RTX
go
40.
so I should go to the Apple store.
No. This is
Oh,
use their
you
computer.
can't do this on a Mac.
actually, I think you might be able to on a Mac.
Oh yeah?
But what kind of computer do you need?
Again, that's a bigger conversation. Like it's depends on
Yeah.
what you need, and I'm not comfortable getting into that. You're going to need to spend a lot of money on a computer to run this currently. I think this could run on a Mac though. I'm really not sure though, because I have not looked at it personally.
My son has a powerful computer that he does that.
Look, if the metric is if you spent over $5,000 on a computer in the last 2 years, you probably have something that could work. But I'm not, like it's just
Even if it's a Mac.
No, any computer. But some of these tools will work on a Mac, some of them won't. I cannot speak to whether or not this will function. Let me look. You're pushing me here, so I don't know.
I mean, they're telling you right there. So you need over 8 gigs of RAM, VRAM. Like you scrolled, it's like the second bullet point when you keep going up, all the way up, right there. Consumer grade GPUs. So you need 8.19 gigs of VRAM. So it's telling you what you can generate on an RTX 4090.
And Macs have like a shared memory.
Right.
So they don't have a GPU the same way that a Windows NVIDIA does. So what I'm curious is, will this run on a Mac? I just don't know. And this is one of hundreds. So it's not like this is just one example that came out of Alibaba. This is Tencent Huanyan 3D, an open source high quality 3D DIT generative model. The music here. Oh, where's the good stuff? Here we go.
Oh.
So if you are in gaming or 3D and you're a modeler, you're kind of done, man. Like if you create game assets, I don't see it anymore. I just don't.
Can you post that link on the chat, please?
I'm doing it right now. And look,
Very
so
much
here's the other thing that I
appreciated.
want to ask folks. So, do you want to continue to do this stuff on Thursday nights? Because I need money. Okay, I would monetize this. This would be a subscription. I would need some folks to pay. And the question is, how much would you be willing to pay to come hang out and to do this stuff and explore this? Now, I'm not saying I know how to use all these tools because I don't, but we together would explore them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, 1 or 2 times or 3 times a month. But to open this up for our community so that we can start to learn how to use these tools, I think is important.
Mhm.
So I just
Would it
want to
be
put that in the universe.
outside of SVA?
This would be completely outside of SVA. Yeah, this is my community.
This is Todd being entrepreneurial.
This is me being entrepreneurial and covering some of my expenses and time because
I
it.
would be interested. I would
All
be
right,
interested.
cool.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So I'll send out an email with a little sign up form and figure something out, and we'll probably wind up doing it through like Patreon or something like that.
And I could possibly. My nephew is 15, and he's got some friends.
Might be the wrong age group.
Really?
Yeah.
He's like advanced though.
I'm not targeting people below college. I
Okay.
don't think a lot of the things that
You
I
don't want.
talk about are going to be age appropriate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, like I would love to, but that's a different use case in a different persona in my mind. Different market. Is that okay, Christine?
No, that's fine. I'm all game for it.
Okay, all right. I appreciate it. I really do. By the way, if you haven't heard of DeepSeek, you need to know DeepSeek. This is the large language model that disrupted the stock market a couple of weeks ago. They dropped a number of models, a number of pieces of technology. They had their V3 model. They also had R1. These tools are open weight models, meaning you can download quantized versions of these models. I can show you how. And how to configure them and how to use them. But very, very powerful. I mean, this was their chart. They're comparing it to O1, OpenAI's O1. So these are paid models. In order to run the unquantized 671 billion parameter, you're going to need a massive supercomputer kind of like, thing that's going to, I think that you're looking at like what, the $40,000-$50,000 price range to run the full models, but you can download and run quantized smaller versions of the models. This is Hugging Face. If you are in any OCR industry, the folks over at Allen AI released OLM OCR, so they can literally do optical character recognition. Another tool. Yeah, Allen AI is a fantastic organization, opening this stuff up. Sesame, this was actually kind of cool. I think I need to reload this page. allow this time.
Well, well, well. Look who decided to grace me with their presence again. What's on your mind this time?
Hey, Maya, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, thanks for asking. You know, it's always nice to have a familiar voice pop up again. So,
Hold on a sec.
Oh, he's having an actual phone call with a human being.
Sorry, folks. I apologize. I need to just hold on.
Well, while he's on his call, I mean, for those of us who are in the class, like I recently I shared like an article that sort of goes into this thing about like the conversational agents. It's actually pretty interesting. Let me see if I can find the link.
Yeah, it
Um,
Jose, is Maya like replica?
Hi. Sorry about that.
oh, okay.
Have you heard of replica?
No.
No, I haven't.
Oh.
But this is the article I was talking about, which is fun.
Her? Yeah.
Yeah,
Silly.
it's like apparently a lot of people are having relationships
Oh yeah.
with,
Character.ai is
yeah.
is this replica?
Yeah, I don't
Love
like
it.
I mean, it's kind
Oh,
of
there you go.
disturbing, but
Well,
Oh, I
yeah,
love
all
this.
of these things are
Great.
going to be disturbing.
Well, I mean, again, for whom? I mean, like these types of technologies are going to be great for populations of people that don't have access to therapists and stuff like that. So, um, let me just okay, so continuing on what was the news? OLM. So there was this again, take a look at 11 Labs because I think that this is a better solution, but just
Yeah.
there's competition. Kling AI, in case you haven't seen it, this is another platform for text to video, video to video, all sorts of fun things. They have a number of models that you can use. Krea.ai is another one. They've got Flux video real time and they got just a whole bunch of other tools that are available. LTX Studio, so if you are a storyteller or making videos or movies, take a look at this. You can upload your screenplay or use AI to create your screenplay. It'll drop it down into different scenes and shots. You can edit them and do a storyboard or an animatic. By the way, I showed all of this stuff to the MPS film directing department, Jose. So this was part of
Yeah.
the stuff that I showed them. Runway ML, this is the market leader in terms of you know, AIs for visual effects and whatnot. Metaphysics, these guys create the deep fake stuff. They are the original deep fake company. Um, they were just acquired actually. Who did they just buy? Who just bought them? Uh, DNEG. Yeah, DNEG just
Oh,
bought
wow.
Metaphysics.
Okay.
Um, yeah, February 18th, just a few weeks ago. And I always forget to mention this. Facebook has got Meta.ai, so you can just like I always forget Facebook. Uh, Catalyst is another great tool. Nolan AI, again, this is for storytellers. Bring your film project to life from idea to production. Gamma.ai, so if you are making presentations, like, okay, great. Was this the one? Yeah, right? No, wait, this isn't it. No, this is not it. There's another one. I forget which one it is. I'll have to find that one. Foul.ai, they got a number of tools and a number of models that you can use. Again, you're paying for, whatever cloud-based service. So you're paying
Mm,
for the GPU
yeah.
to do whatever it is that you need to do. So you don't have to install software locally. Pika, this stuff is just gorgeous. They just added this new technology where you can just kind of start middle frame, start frame, end frame, give it some direction, and it's just going to create stuff for you. Just all of these tools all these platforms are exploding. I don't recommend any one or not recommend any other. Just I need you to know that they're here. Hi Luo AI, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Wonder Dynamics, this is Autodesk bought them. Automatically creates, animates, lights, and composes CG characters into a live action scene. This is just freaking awesome. So it's like,
This is
if
going to be teaching in your class or
I
in
don't I don't teach any of these tools at all in my class. We just talk about them. But the stuff on Thursdays, we could explore one of these
okay.
platforms.
Okay.
But
That's what
like these tools are changing so rapidly. My advice is use them all. They
yeah.
all have there's an explosion of features and functionality. By the time you learn one, there's another one that's better. So what does that mean? You have to learn and use all of them, and you have to figure out which of these tools does the job that you are looking for, that solves the job you're looking for. That's the answer to that question. So this one's again about creating CG animated characters. Here's their little video. Mute this just because we don't need to see it, but um, you're taking a person, you're clicking and dragging this animated character, and it'll replace it for you. So what's really cool is if you are you don't need to be a 3D animator anymore. Just shoot your shot and replace it with a character. I don't see why I need to go become learn keyframe animation anymore when I have tools like this. So I just need an actor to perform for me. This is the shot I was looking for. Other tools are Descript. So if you're editing and you want to remove all the ums and I mean Premiere has this built into it, but whatever. Flawless AI. Oh gosh, this stuff is beautiful. Where's the demo of the girls on the here, this one.
Now we're stuck on this stupid tower in the middle of nowhere. And I don't blame you, and now we're stuck on this stupid freaking tower in the middle of freaking nowhere. And it's all my fault. 軽蔑してるよね。仕方ないよ。Y es todo por mi culpa. Now we're stuck on this stupid
Okay, so all of these technologies are there, and again, this is a platform for visual effects. So, hey, we've shot our movie, we now need to dub it, and we need to change it, or we need to fix something, or repair. Somebody said something that we can't use. Hedra is another platform. This is more character-related stuff. You can upload an image, and you can kind of see where it goes. The character. Alignment is a problem that's getting solved. We're getting stuff that's just incredible. Most of these platforms can actually do it right now.
Hydra has brought us to life.
The
Hydra. Most advanced character model in the world.
It's awkward, but does it matter? So, what else did I have prepared? Firefly, because of course. John Gata dropped, unfortunately. He was on earlier. He's a Firefly guru. If you're into music and AI-generated audio, there's Suno, Udio, and Refusion. Although, I saw a post about Refusion that if you upload your stuff, they own it. You are granting them, and I didn't get a chance to read their terms of service. But Refusion is another AI audio tool. And then there's Replica, which you mentioned earlier. I think that was everything. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
but
all I had to show.
what I understand from a legal perspective, as soon as it goes AI, it is public domain. That's what my understanding is in the United States.
Well, Christine, take my class. Take my actual SVA course, because that's I have a copyright unit on that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not open source. It's just you can't get a copyright on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you can get a copyright on depends on what was human generated and what was AI generated. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not saying I'm not saying that you're asking for a copyright. I'm just saying that it's public domain.
That's different. Yeah. Because if I create something on my computer and I use AI, I own it. It's not public domain. I just can't get a copyright on it. That's the difference.
Okay.
So this is about copyright law, not about ownership. Yeah. All right, I'm going to end the recording here. Thank you all for coming, and I will post this either for the students who are in the class on Canvas, and I might edit a version of this and post it on my YouTube channel. So thank you all. Hopefully I'll see you on a regular basis on Thursdays, maybe, hopefully. See. All right, ending the recording. Thank you all.